Hey, what's going on guys? Mark back here on a very snowy day on Mark's Aquatics. Spud's out for his walk, crashing and banging around in the snow. He loves this stuff. Just going to take him around my little local field here for his little morning stroll. I think we're going to carry on with this jellyfish tank today, but because of these really cold weather now, it's going to be hard to stick things up. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to mess around with the filter system, do a bit of lasering. So we'll see how we get on. Yeah, sunny forecast for today, so hopefully it'll be cleared up by tomorrow and we can do a little bit more. Anyway guys, I'll see you guys back in the workshop. Well guys, we're back in the workshop, and as you can see, really heavy snow coming down again, which is only forecast for today, like I said before. But inside we're not as bad. All the koi are hiding under their sheets, and all happy in there. I've got my little hose pipe going in there, trickling away there, giving it a little bit of a water change nice and slowly over time through my carbon block. Everybody else is nice and warm in here. Just giving Jack his food. Still nice and early in the workshop, so I better get doing some filming for you guys. Oh, Deanne, thank you very much for my micro worms. They arrived, and I've got some the micro worms in there, and I've got some banana worms in this little pot here, little cultures, and some white worms, as you can see, creeping around there and underneath there. Nice little starter cultures from me. Thank you very much for sending those. Really appreciate that. Taking your time to go out and to post those for me. That's absolutely brilliant. So now, old Jackie boy here will have some nice fresh micro worms to eat, which I'm sure he'll thoroughly enjoy. Right then, what we're going to do now is we're going to go over to the old laser. I've just put a piece of acrylic in there. Now what I've got to do is I've got to cut out the base section now, as you'll see, for the jellyfish tank. Now I want to make a perforated grill that's going to fit in there. So what it's going to basically do, you'll see in a minute, it's just going to fire off a series of holes all the way around here, and then it's going to cut a nice oval ring around like that. And that is what I'm going to be using as the bottom part of the filter. That's going to be the intake. That's where the water is going to get drawn through, but we're going to have to make it slightly concave to match the tube. So we're going to do a bit of heating up and a bit of bending as well, so stay tuned for that. I'll show you how to bend acrylic successfully, and it's very simple to do, easy to follow along instructions, which I'll show you shortly. And we're going to do that. Right, I'm going to press play now, get this little laser fired up, and you should start seeing it cutting out what I've programmed in. Okay guys? Okay guys, we've got the laser cutting bit. That turned out very nicely indeed. So we've got our bottom plate there now cut up. I just run my little orbital sander around the side there, take off any little bits, because we're going to countersink that now. I've got the tube here, and this now is going to be our intake for our filter, which we're going to make the filter box underneath. and so obviously this is going to need to be bent into the shape of that. So what we're going to do is we've got to warm this stuff up. Now if you've never bent acrylic before, if you put it in a tin with some tin foil on, because when it does warm up it gets quite tacky and it doesn't tend to stick to tin foil very well. So we'll do that. Preheat your oven to as hot as you can get it, and I don't know, 180 should be alright, 180 to 200, and soften it up. Keep an eye on it, but you don't want it really flimsy. You just want it so it can bend. So just keep your eye on it, keep lifting it out, grab yourself some oven gloves and just keep picking it up, and when you can actually just start to bend it, or it starts to bend under its own weight, then it's ready. So I'm going to pop this into the oven now. What I'm going to do also is put a piece of tin foil in here, and then we'll lay it on the tin foil and let it bend to that, because I don't want it to stick to that. Even though we've got to remove the section from out of there, I'll leave that in there just so it can we can get a good idea where things are. Right, okay guys, it's out the oven now, so what I'm going to do is just grab hold of that with the old oven glove and bring that there close, pick it up rather quick, place it, get it to where I want it to go, and then we can slowly just press that down, as you can see, like that. And now what we need is a little weight just to hold that down in place. Okay guys, there you go. I just stopped the camera for a minute there just so I could get both hands on, but as you can see now we've got a nice curve to that now. So I'll just shift that out of the way now, and now when we put that on there, it fits without any rock whatsoever and no gaps underneath at all. So we're nice and flat on there now. So now what we've got to do is we've got to remove that section now in the middle here, and then we've got to countersink that in there now so it fits nice and flush with the bottom. So that's the next mission. Right guys, okay, we're back in the workshop, and here's that piece that I made that you just saw me make there. Now what I've done is I've just masking taped this this area up here on the top, and I've also masked it underneath as well, because we're going to be putting it on the orbital sander, which I'll show you in a minute, and we'll sand this out. But we've got to remove this piece now so this fits nice and snugly inside there. See? So that's got to fit nicely in there. Now I've got a circle cutter which I'm going to use with the cordless drill, and here it is. So what we're going to do is we're going to remove most of that with a hole cutter first, and then we can put it on the orbital spindle sander, and we'll take out the and we can sand it now right perfect then, so everything fits in just right. And then I'm going to make some other little adjustments so it will stay put in there and stay nice and flush. Right guys, what I've done is I've just drilled a couple of pilot holes here and here now with the step-in drill, and taken that out because my old bit in here, as you can see, is a little bit worse for wear. A little bit blunt, that one, but we can put that through there, put a piece of wood underneath, and we'll start chopping out a hole on either side now, and we'll start to remove this this centerpiece. Right guys, we've removed this nice little pieces now out of here. They're all done. So that's the majority of that moved. So now what we've got to do is get it on the spindle sander, and we just got to buzz this off now, make that nice and flush around there. So I'll readjust you now onto this spindle sander, and I'll show you what that's all about. Right guys, here's the spindle sander, and basically what that does is spins around, and it obviously moves up and down as well, so it sands down really efficiently and also takes stuff out the way as well. Right, there we are. My darling wife just bought me a nice coffee. Thank you very much. Right, now then, this gadget will now sit on top of there, nice and level. That's why I put the masking tape on the back as well, because we're going to be moving it around. Even though that's going to be in a filter system underneath, I don't want it to get all scratched up. Any more scratches on there than we need to. There's quite a few on these little bits of pipe which I've got, because like I say, they are reclaimed pipe. I know a lot of you have been asking where I get them from as well. There's this guy I know actually in Cardiff, actually works for a recycling plant, and now and again, it's very rare, but you get these things, these offcuts come in, and he picks them up for me. But that's this is the last big of the big tube I got, and I thought it'd be absolutely perfect for this, for the old jellyfish tank. So basically now I've got to move that around, and we're going to cut this out now nice and square, and it's going to keep it nice and level as well on this table, so we can fit that piece in the top there nicely. So I'll speed things up for you guys and we'll get that chopped out. Okay guys, that's back off there. I've tidied it all up now, taken all the masking tape off. We've got a nice edge there running all the way around, and now that little piece now just locks nicely into there. So now we've got our bottom part of the filtration for the old jellies, so when they come swirling around, they're just going to carry on going, and there's nothing sharp for them to catch themselves on. Now what I've got to do is I've got to create, obviously that's just going to fall straight through if I pick that up. So what I've got to do now is line it up, and I'm going to put 2 acrylic pegs through there. So I'm going to countersink a little hole through there, and probably show you easier on there, and I'm just going to scribe a piece in each side and put a little piece of rod in there, so as it does slip in, it can only go in so far, and then we'll be able to take it out again later on when we clean the filter out underneath, because that's big enough to get my hand through there. So now I've got to get a couple of bits of rod. I've got some around here somewhere. Got some nice piece of 2mm rod there, which I think will do the job nicely. So I've literally just got to snip off a couple of bits. This stuff snips very easily with normal snips. So I'll get a couple of bits of around a similar length. I can always sand them down later on to what size that I want, but that's the idea now. I'm going to have a pin there and a pin there, and they're not going to stay there because they're round. So that's the idea. That's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to drill a hole there and a hole there. So that's the next plan. So I'll get back to you when I've done that little bit. Okay guys, I've sorted that all out now. I've put in a nice little recess there and there, and we've put in a little peg on each side now, so that now locks into place there, and we have our little filter section there now. So as our water then is going to get drawn down through there now. And now what we've got to do is concentrate on building the little reservoir now, which is going to hold the media and the pump. And we've got to work out how to get that return pipe back through as well, so we can create that nice circular motion that we see in these tanks, and it just floats the jellyfish around all gracefully and keeps them all moving. Now what I've got to do now, guys, I'm going to stick on one of the faces now, because I need, the way I'm going to do this, you'll see where I'm going with this in a minute. Once one side's stuck on now, I can work out, and I've got to trim off, and it's the excess bit that we trim off that we use for the underside. So I'm going to stick on one bit. Now if you've seen me make these other tanks before, you've seen me made the paludarium and the other tank, which is, I'll just show you now, just spin you around past all my mess and things. But if you've seen how I made this tank here, you'll see how I stuck this side on. I won't take you through all that process again, but if you want to go back and have a look at that video how I made that one, and that's the better tank, and that's a 3-part build, and that's on my playlist. So you can see the I think it was 3 parts that we did to make that one. You'll see how I stick the base on. I'm going to do it exactly the same way. Just going to run the acrylic glue around the base, cramp it together, flood it with the adhesive, and then we're going to have to let that sit for 24 hours until that cures. So it's going to be a little bit of time, so I'm going to have to like time lapse it so you guys can see what I'm doing and not keep you hanging around for ages. Obviously these things do take a while to build and to construct, and when you're gluing things you can't just be doing it in 5 minutes and carrying on with the build, because you've got to let these things cure. That's why it's going to take a little bit of time. Okay guys, what I've done now is I've just popped in the house, unknown to the wife, and because it's a little bit cold in the shed, I've just put that down here, and I've just put some timber across, as you can see now, just to get an equal span of weight going around the tube, and I've just glued it in place. So that one now is curing. I've done it like you can see here in the middle of the sheet, because when we put the router on and router around here, we're going to get the angle that we need with these bits to glue back on to make the filter box. And we're going to do that on the next episode, because we've got to let this all glue up now, and obviously I've got to do a little bit more polishing, different things as well, but you can see that all in the next video. Anyway guys, if you're new to the channel, pop back, check out some of the other videos, and may encourage you to subscribe to the channel, which would be fantastic. Loads more of you hopping on board now, and it's brilliant, absolutely brilliant, really enjoying it so far. And as always guys, take care of yourselves, you're all stars, love you loads, and I'll see you on the next edition of Mark's Aquatics. Bye for now. Just me and my guitar.